All right. Hello, East Central ISD community. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Facebook and YouTube Live. And in this edition, we got some fun stuff for you, and some things that I definitely think the kids here in the district are really going to want to get behind. It's always important to use your voice, whether that's with voting or that's with work in the community, or even podcasting or doing Facebook and YouTube Live. So my name is Brandon Oliver. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for East Central ISD, and I want to introduce my first guest at this time, and it is Leroy Adams from the UP Partnership, and he is the Youth Voice Guru. All right, of the our foundation, or our tomorrow. I'm sorry, our tomorrow. Leroy, how are you doing today?
Hey, Brandon, thank you for having me. I'm doing well, thank you. Not a guru, but we're working hard.
Come on now. You gotta don't be so humble, embrace it. So this is another edition here of East Central Facebook, YouTube Live. And so tell us what's going on, Leroy. What were you going to talk about today?
Yeah, well, one, thank you for having us on, and thank you to our partners at East Central for working with Our Tomorrow to organize this Facebook Live interview. So, as Brandon mentioned, I'm Leroy Adams. I'm the Youth Voice Manager of Our Tomorrow, which is a citywide youth network led by Youth for Youth, who exists to make sure that the places that serve young people are also making room and space and time for young people and their voices. And so tonight, I am really, really excited to have a conversation with three youth leaders in our community here in San Antonio. And we'll talk about youth voice, the importance of it, not only in our schools, but also in our broader community, the importance of mental wellness, and also the upcoming Youth Voice Summit that they all have been helping plan.
That's a really big issue right now, mental health. Especially for the kids. During this pandemic, a lot of the kids are they had the world completely flipped upside down. What they perceive to be as a normal routine of getting up, having breakfast, going to school, coming back, doing homework, so on and so forth. That's been completely disrupted. And so, just as a quick question, Leroy, have you seen kind of maybe like an uptick in kids having some mental health issues because of the pandemic?
Well, what was interesting is for when the planning committee for the Youth Voice Summit came together, there were several different topics that the young people could have chose in terms of for the theme of this year's summit. There was a digital divide, there was sex education, there was school financing, and of course there was mental wellness. And as we sat back and planned and the young people voted, there seemed to be an overwhelming sense that really theming this summit after mental wellness, with the message being, how do we move from this being a stigma to this being about us and young people really working on our mental wellness and really building in those mental tools, those tools of preservation, perseverance to support young people with, as you mentioned, Brandon, they're just going through so many different things right now. And so I'm excited to hear later on in the show from our young people why mental wellness was the topic that they chose to go with, why they felt it was most important to go with this topic in lieu of other also important topics. But it seemed to be that mental wellness was the topic to go for this year, to really dive deep with each other, with city leaders, and really move the conversation forward on making sure that we as a community are doing all that we can to support young people in their mental wellness.
And so talk about the Youth Voice Summit that's coming up. This is like the key event, correct?
It's Yeah, I'm really excited about it. This is our third annual Youth Voice Summit at Our Tomorrow, and it's something that we do every year. First and foremost, it's completely free, which is really exciting because it gives all young people across the city an opportunity to attend and not have to worry about any financial burden. So it's completely free. And this year, as we mentioned, the theme is mental wellness. And so we'll have conversations with uh, certified clinicians, certified mental health advocates and experts. Young people will actually have conversations with counselors from their school, from their districts, to talk about the mental services, mental wellness services that are offered in our school and what we could be doing more of to support young people. And recognizing that this is such a heavy topic, young people also wanted to balance it out with some fun and energetic activities. And so, in addition to having these very thought provoking, community building conversations, if you will, we'll also have a conversation with international visitors from Pakistan and Sierra Leone to learn about what mental wellness and youth voice looks like in those countries, something that our young people have been planning and working with our friends at the San Antonio Council of International Visitors. We're super excited about that type of conversation to give our students here in San Antonio some exposure to what is going on in other parts of the world, right, as it pertains to youth voice. Not only that, we'll have a scavenger hunt game that we'll be playing. We'll have a art and mental wellness activity where young people, which will be led by our friends at SAC, where young people have an opportunity during the event to sort of go outside and paint something that gives them inspiration, paint something or draw something that gives them hope, right? Helping young people to recognize that sometimes something that can help you, something that can motivate you is right outside of your door. So really super excited to have that session as well. There's going to be a lot of, in your seat, out of your seat activities. This has been entirely planned by young people and partners from our community. So we're super excited to see how this event goes this year.
All right, and then I have the link up right there,
Yes.
and I'll add it to Facebook and YouTube right now. But that is the link, right, for more information, registration information.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, and so I'm gonna put that in there right now. We are encouraging you all to not waste any time to go ahead and click on that link that I just put there in Facebook and YouTube, and go ahead and register for this incredible event. All right, so Leroy, let's dive right in. I know you have some awesome guests, so let's get to it, and let's introduce who we have on deck first.
Let's bring them on.
All right, so there is one person that hasn't turned on their camera yet. Oh, there he is. All right.
There they are. Hey, Nina, Kevin, and Melissa. So before I start going off and asking all sorts of questions, because I'm so interested in hearing what you all have to say, let's just go around, and if you like, just share your name, what school you attend, and one interesting thing about you. And we'll start with Alyssa.
Awesome. Thank you, Leroy. My name is Alyssa. I am a sophomore at Cass Tech High School. And one interesting thing about me is I started working with Art Tomorrow because of the Youth Voice Summit. And so because of that, I've learned so much that I would not have known. So shout out to the Youth Voice Summit.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yep.
What about you, Nina?
Hi, I'm Nina Guastafrera. I attend East Central Gira. One interesting fact about me is that I am Miss Friendly City of Shirts. So I am a representative of my city.
Awesome. Thank you, Nina. Hey, Kevin.
Hi everyone. My name is Kevin, and I go to ALA, the Advanced Learning Academy. So for me, the thing that interests me about Art Tomorrow was my friend Mel from a group that actually Alyssa is also part of, the SASD Student Coalition, and whenever she told us about it and like to apply to the to like one of the programs, I was just like very drawn into it, to like the whole youth voice, and just like the sense of community that Our Tomorrow has. And then an interesting fact about me, I don't know, I don't know. I like to dress up every single day, even if I'm not going anywhere. I really like clothes.
You are a beacon of hope, my friend, because I don't always do a great job of like getting like fully prepared for the day in the morning. Sometimes I work with my pajamas on. So I completely envy you and your ability to like get prepared for the day. So let's just have a real cool laid back conversation, because I have conversations with you three all the time, and you are doing such exceptional work in San Antonio, in your schools, and you're really passionate about youth voice. And that topic gets thrown around a lot. So I'm really interested. I think many people at home are interested to know, like, in your own personal story, where was that moment where you like felt youth voice, where you saw that like youth voice worked, right? Like you felt empowered or you felt heard. And to give you sort of an example, I'll share a quick story of like when I realized like, oh my gosh, my voice does matter. So I think I was in about the 8th grade, and I had always been like an AB student, but sometimes I could like make jokes in class and that would like get me in a bit of trouble. And so one day I came home with like a C in conduct, and my parents, who are very strict when it comes to school, were like, this is, you can do better than this. And so they went to like get the belt to like give me a punishment. And I was scared. And so I sat down, I said, okay, let's have a conversation about this. Let's talk about this. If I do, give me a week or two. If I do better, if I raise a C, you won't whoop me, right? And so my parents, they sat back for about 5 minutes. I think they were shocked that I sort of made this sort of, negotiation, if you will. And they said, okay, cool. If you raise your C in conduct, we won't give you a punishment. 2 weeks goes by. Let's just say Leroy did not do a great job of raising that C in conduct, and I still got a punishment anyway, but I at least knew that my voice mattered and my parents were willing to listen and give me some space to like share my story or side of things. So that was when I realized like, okay, my voice has some power. What about y'all? I'm going to pick Nina.
I feel like I've had so many opportunities in life to express my voice, especially because I'm involved in so much. I'm involved in leadership. I'm involved in. I deal with disabled kids all the time, and I work with a lot of people in and outside of school. And something that I have had to do is come up with a lot of solutions, especially when we run into problems with like leadership. And so it's really good, especially to be like a part of a club, because everyone's opinion is valid.
Awesome. But Alyssa or Kevin?
Yeah, I can go. So for me, I guess like my story is a little more similar to Leroy. So not really like with my parents, but at school, I was always like sort of a better, well behaved kid, but towards like in 8th grade, I started like hanging out with like the kids that behaved a little less, and so I would begin to like do jokes in like class and like not like crazy things, but for me it was like, oh, this is so bad, like I'm a bad kid. But you know, uh, eventually like the teachers started being like they started noticing that I was like behaving different and stuff, and so they like told me about it, and like I stopped eventually. But then my friends like still kept going, and there was one time that one of my friends wasn't involved in something, like something big happened at school that someone misbehaved, and they were blaming him, and he didn't do anything. Like that time he didn't do anything. Most of the time it was him, but that time it wasn't him. And I used like that sort of like power or voice that I had with like being having close connections to the teachers, and having had a past of them being like, hey, like we want you to do better. And so I sort of talked to them, and I was like, no, it wasn't him. And like together, like with the teachers and I, we like got him to behave better, but also I got him out of the trouble that one time because it really wasn't him that time. And so I felt like for the first time I felt like my voice had power. Like if I had the right connections, if I said the right things, I could make a change, even if it was something as little as that. And so yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you use your power to help a friend. That's awesome. What about you, Alyssa?
Yeah, I love that story. That's amazing. I think my first time where I felt that like student voice or my voice specifically was being heard, I remember my mom and I attending a coalition, just a small coalition, our schools actually. And so I remember sitting at the table, and it was weird because when I would look around, I saw teachers and I saw parents, and I was the only kid there really. And I remember my friend Alejandra, who's teacher, and she's sitting in front of me, and she's like, "You're the only kid here." She's like, "That's so cool," and she was like, "I'm gonna plant a seed in your little head." She said, "Your voice matters," and everybody looked at me, and I was like, hi. Right, and we went on to build this super big discussion, and then I was the only kid to kind of talk about what the student perspective is, and it kind of brought light to that situation and the things that we were talking about. But from then on, I continued to figure out that these are the coalitions that I belong at, and these are the tables that we should be a part of. And so I think that was the thing that stuck with me to continue like my journey on that my voice is important. So
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing from you three, it sounds like one, there's just the acknowledgement that you all have a voice, and maybe it takes someone like sharing that with you. And then also, it sounds like you once you have your voice, you know what to do with it, right? Kevin, you're helping your friend, and Nina, you're involved in so many different types of organizations. So I think one of the other things that's very difficult for a lot of people to sort of define, and I see this often in my work, is like, what is youth voice? What is it exactly? Is it, just giving young people a seat at the table and saying, hey, here's a chair, have a seat, welcome? Like when you all think about youth voice, what comes up for you?
I believe that youth voice, in like my opinion, it's not telling a teacher and a teacher can tell someone higher up to take care of it. No, it's like us as students, us as like children, we have the option to use our voices, and like we know that we have a backbone with people here to listen for us.
Oh, listen, Kevin, this is open. I'm really interested. So when you all think about your voice, like what comes to mind? I love what Nina said about, young people. Sometimes we have the power, but how do you help people realize that they have that power, especially young people?
So yeah, I like what you said. Like when you asked, like whether or not it was just to give them a seat at the table, because I think it goes further than that. Like just giving them the seat at the table might be just like a little bit of representation, but you're not really like, um, you're not really listening to them. And so it could be like me, like for example, it could be like me telling someone like, oh yeah, come over here, like I'll listen to you, you can listen to me. But then at the end of the day, I wouldn't make a change or do the things that they suggested. And so I think that youth voice is far more than just being there. It's actually getting involved. It's actually seeing that the seeds that you plant actually give fruit, and the things that you suggest for adults to do, and the things that you suggest for adults to change and make better actually happen. And you can look back at those things and be like, oh, I like, you can be proud of yourself and see that you were part of that change, and you are the like part of the reason that more people can get better opportunities.
Oh, I absolutely love what you both just said, and I think we have Alyssa back. Alyssa, did you before I respond, because Kevin and Nina shared really great points about young people recognizing their own power, and then also just taking advantage of those opportunities once they come. Um, you know, for you, Alyssa, you think about youth voice. Like, what does that mean for you?
I would say that it's exactly the same thing. I really appreciate what Kevin and Nina said, that like we deserve a seat at the table. And I remember attending a Women of Color conference, and we were told by a keynote speaker that oftentimes we have to pull up a folding chair and sit by the side. And she said, "No, don't do that. Get a good, comfortable chair and put it on top of the table if you have to." And so I think it's really cool that we are aware of the power that we do have when we do use our voice. And so I think that that's why youth voice even today is really important for all of us.
That's so something else that always comes up when I have conversations with y'all as it relates to youth voice is the diversity of youth voice, right? I think all of you have just shared that it's not entirely difficult for you to access those opportunities and then take advantage of your voice. But then you also share with me that there are other young people out there that are either hesitant or don't feel supported, but also have something to say, right? They may not be the A+ honor roll student, or they may have had a little trouble here and there, but they still deserve a seat at that table. And so, with you all, do you see that come up? Do you have friends that feel like their voices don't matter, or like they don't have that support?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of kids in the world that are like that. I mean, I can speak from experience. I used to feel that way. I used to feel like I didn't deserve a seat at the table, and it took one person to actually tell me, like, you matter. You
Yeah.
matter a lot. Like, talk to us. And that changed my whole world around. Sorry, go.
No, that's just please continue. That's amazing.
No, yeah. So I mean, I can take it from personal experience. Like I've dealt with that before. The feeling of not wanting to be heard. And then it took a very long time for me to realize, like, my voice does matter. People do care. And it's changed my whole life around, and I'm at where I'm at today.
Give us one example of how it's changed your life, like that moment of my voice matters, I'm empowered. How has that changed your life?
Okay, so when I used to be very introvert because I didn't think that people wanted to listen to me. And then when I had that one friend tell me, she started inviting me over to like the table, and she started including me in a lot of things. And this girl was very well known around school. So, that kind of got me like a place in my school. And because of that, I became very extroverted, which, resulted in me like joining clubs, joining events, joining groups of different people, different diversities. And it really pushed my limits to want to get out there and to want to talk to people.
Oh, that's awesome. Kevin, listen, does any of that like resonate with you too?
So it reminds me of so for myself, I felt like teachers and like staff at my school always wanted like to like push me like in different directions. Like they always wanted me to they wanted to send me like to debate programs and send me this place and send me that place, like for me to represent them, because they were maybe they were asked for like a specific like type of person that they wanted for whatever it was. So I remember like in ninth grade, they sent me to a debate program, and my friends were like, "But you're not even in debate, like you're not even in debate or whatever." And they were like, "Why did they send you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like I didn't even apply for it. I didn't even ask for it." They were just like, "Yeah, like we think Kevin should go. We think like there have been a lot of times where I'm like, why did they send me? Like there could have been so many different people that I could see taking my spot for this, and not because I don't want to use my voice or I don't want to be I don't want to represent my school. Like of course I do, but I see a lot of times where the students that don't necessarily get the best grades or don't necessarily have like the best connections or the best relationships with the teachers.
Yeah.
It seems like they things, and it's very oh sorry, I turned on my Siri for some reason. No, and so I see a huge problem. It started being to the point where like they asked me if I wanted to go somewhere, and I'd be like, actually I'll just stay back for this, because I didn't want to be like the person that represented my school, not only because it's a big pressure, it's a lot of pressure, but also because I want more people to be represented than like other than me. Like it, like to me it seemed like I was like some sort of like item, or like I don't know, like it seemed like I was being like projected as but to me I didn't want to be that. I wanted everyone to be heard, especially because my school isn't very big. Like I was like, we can like represent everyone in this like grade. Like I don't have to be the only one that does these things. And so Yeah, and then other than that, it also reminded me of my friend Bella. She was telling us the other day that like she had the same experience. Like there were always like those sort of like certain type of students that they sent to represent the schools, and she always felt like they like she wanted to be out there. She wanted to be her. She wanted to suggest things to the school. She wanted to make a change, and her school never like noticed her, never asked her if she wanted to be a part of that. And that's why she like sort of began the student coalition, the SASD student coalition, because she wanted to have a group where she felt heard and where she could bring other people that wanted to be heard. And so yeah.
That's and what I'm hearing from you and Nina, it's one, right, the adults in your lives recognizing the your voice and giving you that opportunity. But what I really love about what you both just shared is that it was friends, peers that came to you and said, hey, your voice matters, and here's an opportunity for you to share that, share what you have to say and to be heard. I think there's just so much power in young people also recognizing, hey, I have my friends around here, they have a lot to say, no one's giving them that opportunity, so how about I bring them along with me, or we just create our own situation. I that's just truly special. Alyssa, did you have something?
No, I did not. I think they put it in the best way possible.
Yeah,
And
right?
I mean, you echoing it for sure.
Yeah, again, it's, even with us at our tomorrow, and you three know this very well, we are also working very hard to diversify youth voice, right? As you all mentioned, including those students that don't always have those opportunities, but it doesn't seem like there's a clear path to how to do that work. And so working alongside you all and figuring out how to do that is truly special and awesome. So thank y'all for sharing that. I want to transition and I want to talk about mental wellness, since that is the theme of this year's Youth Voice Summit. I want to talk about that first before we dive into the Youth Voice Summit, because there were so many different topics you all could have chose as a theme for the Youth Voice Summit, but mental wellness came up. There could have been the digital divide, there could have been high quality sex education, school financing, but you are very adamant about mental wellness being a theme of this year's summit. Why do you think that is?
I would say that like any other like issues or topics are less important than it. I feel like usually like whenever or like most of the time whenever I have conversations like this um, about youth voice and about youth empowerment, I feel like they always gravitate towards mental health like by themselves, whether or not there's a sort of like a schedule or like a sort of like agenda. Like I feel like they just gradually like turn into conversations about mental health. Because I feel like it's something that gets it's something that has a lot of negative connotation to it from adults, and then it's also something that people overlook a lot. Like because obviously every problem is very important, but I feel like whenever you like put it up against like other racial like inequality or um, just other big things like it, I feel like it gets overlooked. And so I feel like it is, I think I can see that um, we are tired of that. We're tired of those connotations. We're tired of that stigma around it. And that's why I feel like youth voice just wants to talk about mental health, and we want to destroy those boundaries, and we want everyone to know that mental health is important, and we want it to be like something that we talk about often, and we want it to be something that is part of everyday life, because it is part of our everyday life, whether or not we think about it. Anything could change our mood, and anything can change our mental health, any experience. And so I think I can see that we're ready for those conversations.
Yeah, that, absolutely. So, Alyssa, just feeding off of that, obviously Kevin said his mental wellness is just a part of everything that we do, school, family life, social life, everything. for you personally, why was it important to have mental wellness as the theme of this year's summit?
I think to echo what Kevin said, that there's oftentimes a stigma that comes with it, so it could be very difficult for people to talk about it, or before it was taboo, and so I think now it makes more sense because our generation is constantly faced with these things. We are firsthand of, we have really close friends that will have depression or anxiety or OCD, so we're not completely oblivious to the kinds of effects that it has constantly and daily and momentarily and just all around. So I think that is why I felt super passionate about the fact that it is around mental health, and that this conversation is no longer, a bomb that we have to, or we're waiting to set off, because we're slowly, gradually getting there and just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. You brought up a great point about the different generational viewpoints on some of these topics. When I brought up therapy to my mom, most of my family are like, that's not a thing. You'll be okay, right? You'll just walk it off. But I was like, no, this is important to do. And these are types of important conversations to have. And so, do you all feel like it's getting easier to make, sort of share how important this topic is with parents and those supporters who are coming from different generations? Nina?
Yeah, I do actually. And going back to our discussion question, I think that mental wellness is a really big topic for a lot of us right now, because we only have the summit once a year, and this year we had something major happen in our lives, and everyone's thinking about ways to fix issues, right? Or problems, with their friends, with the world, with themselves. But they need to focus on themselves for a while. They need to focus on their mental health and how they can do things. And everyone's dealing with this, and this is definitely a topic that has been shut away for a very long time because everyone's been isolated.
Yeah,
um
yeah,
and I think it's very important that we have a safe space for everyone to go to talk about it.
yeah. That you bring up a great point. You all mentioned you've been so isolated. Now that you're transitioning back into school in the physical sense, most likely in the fall for sure, everyone will be there. And coming out of what you mentioned, was a very very big year with a lot of challenges. How even more important now do you three think that we pay attention to mental wellness and make sure that we have those services in the community and in our schools to support students, even as you all begin to transition back into school? I see a lot of smiles. How do you all feel about transitioning back into school full time?
Um, sorry. Um, yeah, I recently had to move back to in person. That was just because of personal, technological issues. And the sad thing is, a lot of the time, the district, or sometimes even my school specifically, weren't very helpful. So I think that it was not entirely super difficult to transition back, because I'm used to change, but it's also the fact that there are still students that are at home and are still not able to function and sit properly in front of their computer because of what's going on around them. So I think that in that transition back, there's still no communication being held on, okay, well, are you okay? How can I help you catch up? So oftentimes it's not what happens. And you're like, okay, you're back in school, you're great, but you could also get sick. And so there's that conversation at the same time of mentally rather than just physically, are you okay? And so it feels a lot better knowing that these conversations are being had than just completely ignored.
Thank you, Kevin and Nina. I see Nina's unmuting herself.
Yeah, I love what you said, Alyssa. And I want to add on to that. As soon as they opened schools back up, I was trying to be the first wave back in here. Um, but I think the transition to school has definitely helped. Just being around people, being in an environment where we can see faces every day, that has definitely helped my mental health wellness. Um, I think it's very important for all of us to be interacting with one another and just being here, um, and being able to physically touch paper and not having to look at a computer screen all day, has definitely benefited for the greater good.
Mhm.
Yeah, and yeah, I also see like that being in person is very important for a lot of people. They don't have the same resources that at school that they do at home. Even like the most privileged like of kids, um, they still don't have the teacher there with them, like helping them. It's a very interesting and very difficult situation to sort of make sense of. But um, I do think that there is a certain level of concern when it comes to like safety. Obviously, um, not everyone has their vaccines, and not everyone will by the fall, sadly, because of how they're being distributed. We see a lot of people right now that a lot of people got them like way ahead of people that were like a higher priority to the government, like younger people got them as opposed to like older people, or just like normal people got them as opposed to healthcare workers. And so it's all been a very interesting situation. And so it is concerning for me, like how, especially for low income students, like how the transition will be uh, when it comes to their safety. Because also like when it comes to like the whole mask situation, like our governor like saying stuff like that you don't have to wear your mask, and our school districts are trying to like make it to where we still have our masks on when we go over there. But you would never know, like a parent could be like, no, the governor said this, my kid's not going to wear it. And it's all very interesting. I just want to make sure that everyone's safe. I hope that everyone's going to be safe whenever everything is back in full like notion and everyone's in school.
Yeah, thank you, all three of you for sharing that, because it sounds like you definitely want to get back into school. You recognize that like just having that social interaction with not only your peers but even that connection with your teachers also lends to you being healthier mentally. And just so as long as you can all do that safely, it sounds like you all are ready to get back into school, sort of back to what was once a normal setting. Um, so thank y'all for sharing that. You all, I mean, your personal stories and your passions just continue to shine through. And so I really just want to thank you again for joining and sharing these your thoughts and your opinions on a lot of important topics. We have a few questions in the comment section related to the summit. But before we get to the questions in the comment section, I want to ask you all, you've seen the agenda for the summit, you've worked on it. There's a lot of amazing things happening at the Youth Voice Summit this year, as we mentioned. You will have different workshops to learn about public speaking, strategic communication. There'll be a wonderful presentation by our friends from the Center for Young Minds Matter on a youth behavioral health report that many people are excited about. There's the art session with Say, and then there's the international conversation with our partners from Pakistan and Sierra Leone. There's just so much. And then Constitution Cafe and the scavenger hunt. There's a lot of things. I'm curious to know, what is the one session you all are looking forward to? Only one. And Nina, you cannot say the scavenger hunt because you worked on that one. So you can't choose that.
All right, since I can't choose the one that I've been working on, I would have to say the international call from, just touching bases with people like across the world. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely amazing that we actually had the option to do that. Just seeing how other people have dealt with their situations, and seeing what kind of situations they've been in, it's absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Two of the youth leaders have done a wonderful job building the questions out for that session. And so super excited to just watch you all have conversations with friends from Pakistan and Sierra Leone to like learn, what does youth voice look like in those countries? What does mental wellness look like in those countries? So super excited about that session. Kevin and Alyssa, let's go with Alyssa. Which session are you most looking forward to?
I was probably gonna say the same thing, but also the Stacey when getting to work on the art, and I think that's really cool because just because everybody's at home, we have to do it in that form. But I think it'd be really cool to to at least get the kids outside, which is oftentimes not what happens.
Yeah.
But I think just the idea of that is really cool because we could all use a little sunlight. But I think that's what my thought was.
Absolutely. I'm looking for, a little sunshine would do great for everyone.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to, Kevin?
Yeah, so the thing that I have been thinking the most about whenever I think about the summit is the like multi-generational conversation that we're gonna have. Just because I thought like whenever we were coming up with like all of the ideas and stuff, and then when we had like the meetings and everything with everyone, that just seemed like the one that we like everyone in like my breakout room was like the most excited about, and we were all talking about it. And that's the one that I've been thinking about the most, and I'm very excited to see what kind of conversations we're gonna be having.
Yeah, that you bring up a great. So I want to go back to that, to the intergenerational conversation, because I think you all have touched on how very important it is that intergenerational leadership is a part of the youth voice work. But before I ask that question, I will ask a question from the comments. So the question is, do you all see the summit as a way to bring more youth opportunities to other students? If so, how? How do you see the summit as an opportunity to connect and engage more young people?
I was gonna say, as I said earlier, is the reason I got into working with Art Tomorrow and being able to, do everything that I do was because of the Youth Voice Summit. When I heard of the Youth Empowered Project and I was able to do a digital badge on civic engagement, I had no clue what I was doing at first, but that guidance. Yes, I did. It was really fun, and I was so in love with the organization from the very get-go because I knew that it had great morals. I knew it was listening to who I was rather than just student voice, but like who I was personally. So I felt very proud in what I was doing. And so I like Kevin said, I also know Mel. And so when she told us about, Art Tomorrow, we were like, okay, like I'm interested, like what's going on. So shout out to Mel too. But I think that because of that, I was able to continue working, and now on the steering committee, which I'm so completely thankful for, and being a part of these conversations, as we've been saying over and over. So I think that this Youth Voice Summit can definitely be an intro to continue working with Art Tomorrow and networking into other organizations as well.
That's right. I completely forgot you did create a digital badge on civic engagement. That was, you and Kevin did super work this summer following the Youth Voice Summit, as you mentioned. What about you, Nina?
I absolutely loved Alyssa's answer. That was a great answer. I think I believe that this summit has really opened my eyes to seeing how many people are willing to get their voices out there. And like Alyssa said from the get-go, I absolutely enjoyed this program because I've seen these kids interact online, and they act like there's no filter. Like, it's amazing. They tell it how it is, and I think that's awesome. And I even told my friend, shout out to Kiana, I told her, I was like, these are the kind of people I want to be around.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I did. I told her that the minute we got on. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And so I've told a lot of my friends about this, and a lot of them like, I'm going to hop on, I'm going to tell my story. I'm like, you totally should. You definitely should.
Look at you three, just empowered. See, this is awesome. That's all it takes sometimes. As you mentioned earlier, just sharing a word with a friend and then allowing them to see it for themselves. So just super. You all are just doing amazing and dope work. Kevin, what about you? Do you think this is how do you see this summit as an opportunity to connect more young people and to get more young people engaged?
Mm-hmm. So since the summit also has a lot of different orgs working like together, like to like make it a possibility, I think it's also very interesting. It'll be a very interesting like conversation, obviously, but it'll also be a great opportunity for students to get exposed to, and like just youth around San Antonio to get exposed to different organizations that might interest them or might even help them in the future, or they might be interested in joining. So I think it'll be a great way to bring more opportunities for them, because there might be like some people that are into art, and then they see like the like say C, for example. It'll be very cool to see them come together and be able to reach out to those orgs if they want to and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to. I think the amazing things about what you all have shared in terms of, the opportunities that come out of attending the summit is that the opportunities that come out of attending the summit is not limited to just young people being able to speak, right? Use their voices in that sense, but also if you're an artist and you're interested in using your voice, how do you connect youth voice to art, right? If you're a young person who likes tech and creating coding and creating different programs, how do you combine that passion of yours with the importance of using your voice? And I think you all have spoken to that. It's not just about speaking. Not everyone wants to do that, right? Not everyone is interested in public speaking, but a lot of you are amazing artists. You're amazing engineers. You're just visionaries, and being able to use that and combine it with youth voice is truly special and important. Could you give us an example, really quick, one example of how you sort of have taken your own personal passion and aligned it with youth voice? Because I feel like, Nina, you have a passion for scavenger hunt games, and you combine that with youth voice. And Kevin and Alyssa, you all are just great with coding, and you did that this summer with digital badging, and it was super cool. Is there any other passions that you have that you would like to see align with youth voice?
Yeah, actually. So here at East Central, I go to competitions for public speaking, and
Cool.
that has benefited me in ways that I could never have imagined. And I really get to use that here at the Youth Voice Summit.
Yeah, that's cool. And I know that you all have Constitution Cafe, which is also another great youth voice opportunity. So that's really, really cool. What about you and Kevin and Alyssa? Any other passions that you all have that you like to see connected to youth voice?
No, I feel like okay, so I don't know. I feel like a lot of I feel like anything can be used like to uh for youth voice. Like for example, like some of my passions include like acting and singing, and
Really?
like you said, coding, and all those. I think all those things can like
Yeah.
whether you see it instantly or not, like they can all like connect to that. Like for example, like I also like graphic design, which is kind of like in the same realm as coding, but like for example, like in the summer I started a social media account, just like uploading like graphic designs, like giving people resources and giving people like different
Yeah.
social justice like links and donation sites and stuff. And then right now I'm doing an internship for Mayor Ron Nirenberg,
Oh,
and I have been making graphic designs for him as well. And so yeah, like I totally see graphic design fitting into that. And then also, I've seen a lot of people use their voice, like they're singing around social media to, use their voice. So yeah, like I said, I feel like any passion, like anything that you're passionate enough about, you can use it to, to bring youth voice and
yeah.
to have your voice be heard.
That's awesome. At the next year's summit, we're gonna get you to sing, Kevin.
I definitely
We'll talk about it.
stand for that.
We will talk about it.
Yep.
All right. Last question before I have to send you all off for this evening. Let's wrap it up with intergenerational leadership. You've all have spoken about that, and you talk about how important it is for young people and adults to work together. When we were planning this summit, even now that the registration is open and people are registering for the summit, there have been some adults who were like, is this for me? Like, should I be here at the summit? So is it important to have adults? Do y'all think it's important for adults to also be there? If so, why? Alyssa?
I mean, if they're wanting to come, no, I mean, I think that's a really great idea because they are the ones who made the table. So it makes sense that they would be there. But oftentimes, because we are excluded and because there's the line between teachers and students or adults and youth, that it often, just because the label Youth Voice Summit is on it, we think that they're excluded. And it's like, no, I think it's really a space that's meant for youth to use their voice. But I think it's really important that they're able to come with us and have these conversations because sometimes we're lost and we don't know what we're talking about. So it's great to have them there and like lead us and be able to compliment us and guide us of what, you know, our future could possibly look like. So I think them coming would be a really great idea.
I couldn't agree more. Kevin, what do you have?
Yeah, I also think that adults are more than welcome. A lot of the times, like I said earlier, like we want them to hear our voice because they are the ones that are gonna make the are gonna at the end of the day, they're the ones that are gonna be making those decisions. Whether we like it or not as youth, they are the ones in charge currently, and so you know, I think that it's important for them to be there, especially the ones that make those like important decisions, so that they can hear, like at least listen to us and be able to make their decisions based off of what we have to say. And I also think that like school staff and stuff, staff and teachers and counselors should be there, so that they can like see like how we experience the things that they experience. Because we experience a lot of the same things at school, but we don't experience it the same, and they may or may not know that. And so being there will be an opportunity for them to hear, how we experience school life and how we experience those same issues that they experience.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Nina?
I think that is absolutely important that we do have adults there because the whole objective of this summit is to make everyone feel welcome and everyone feel heard. I mean, especially like we want the youth voice to feel heard, but we also want everyone to feel welcome.
Yeah.
And I really like what Kevin said. I think that was really good. Um, but like we said, we want people to hear our voices. So if we have everyone here, adults, kids, teachers, staff, everyone will be able to hear us and what we have to say, and they can make their decisions based off of what we want. We say what we need to say, and they can choose to listen.
Awesome. Listen, you three, thank you so much for joining me on a Wednesday night to have this conversation. You probably could have been doing anything else in the world. You three are, again, just exceptional models for your peers and your community, and I just encourage you to keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. Okay, just real quick before we sign off, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the rest of the week? What? Nothing exciting happening?
I'm excited to see who else signs up for the Youth Voice Summit.
Me too.
Me three. I'm excited. It's fun. I mean, we've all took the time to plan this, and I think the most special thing about it is that this was all ran by youth leaders.
Yeah. Super excited. Thank y'all again for joining. Kevin, Nina, and Alyssa, again, you are just continuing to do amazing work, and I'm really excited about the future of Youth Voice in San Antonio. I think with young people like you, at the forefront with adult support, it's going to be amazing what we see happen here in San Antonio as it relates to Youth Voice. And thank you everyone at home for joining us to hear this conversation about Youth Voice, about mental wellness, and about the upcoming Youth Voice Summit on April 10th. And again, thank you to East Central ISD, amazing partners with amazing young people. Really looking forward to continue to work with everyone and work with you all as we move forward in this awesome work. So with that, we're going to say bye and good night.